So welcome everybody. Hopefully you are expecting to see that you're here to learn about the 5 ways to wild wellbeing today. And I've got Jenny along with me today as one of our guest speakers in celebration of Mental Health Awareness Week. So this year the theme is nature, and it's really great that they're recognising the importance of getting outdoors for our mental and physical well-being. So I have a feeling that my presentation is going to be a little bit slow today, but I'm sure it will keep up with us eventually. So while it's catching up, my name's Kirsty and I am a Wellbeing Officer with Derbyshire Wildlife Trust. It's my general role to work out and about in Derby City, getting people using urban green spaces and showing that it doesn't all have to be about getting out into the peaks or the dales, as gorgeous as they are. Equally valuable are those little parks and those small gardens in the inner city. But while we've not been able to deliver face-to-face due to COVID restrictions, I've been getting stuck in behind the scenes, creating lots of online resources and creating presentations like this so we can bring outdoor wellbeing right into your homes. And it's really great because it means that we can reach out to more people. So all of you joining us today can be part of it, which is fabulous. And I'll pass over to Jenny to introduce herself.
Thank you. Yep, my name is Jenny Ryan and I'm the Community Services Manager here at Derbyshire Mind. So I look after all of our local services delivered across Derbyshire, including our mental wellbeing programme, which is called Enjoying Derbyshire. For Enjoying Derbyshire, we offer a variety of free groups, courses and activities that all have the common goal of improving mental wellbeing by boosting mood, creating connections and strengthening feelings of community. We work in partnership with a wide range of other charities and organisations, of which Derbyshire Wildlife Trust are one of them. So I'm pleased to be here sharing this webinar with Kirsty today.
So today we're going to be talking about the 5 ways to wellbeing, which many of you have probably heard of before. So Derbyshire Wildlife Trust recognises the value of these points, and we like to add our own wild twist so that we can add a bit of nature connection in there as well. If you've not heard of them before, then don't worry, we're going to be going through each one in turn today, so that'll all get covered for you. And we're going to be looking at what they all are, how we can incorporate them into our daily lives, and how can we use them as inspiration to connect with nature at the same time. So before we launch into the nitty-gritty of the 5 ways, we're going to start off by looking at how connected to nature do you feel right now already. So don't take long to think about this, go with your gut instinct, there's no right or wrong answer, and you're looking at which of these statements is most true for you. So we've got spending time in nature is very important to you. You like being out in nature, but it's not that important. You've got other things going on. You don't really think about spending time in nature. Maybe you've got a lot going on and it's not on the forefront of your mind. And finally, maybe you don't see any benefit in spending time in nature right now.
Good stuff. We've got about 26 people having voted. So we're looking at about 90% now. So
fabulous.
I'll just give it a second and then I'll end it. Brilliant. I'll end it now. There's the results. Hopefully you can see them.
Yes, wonderful. So 90% of you are already feeling that spending time in nature is very important to you. Fantastic. So we don't need to convince you the benefits. So hopefully today you'll get a few more tips on how you can weave it into your daily activities a little bit more. Fabulous. Okay, so as my screen gets going, we're going to be launching, there we go, going to be launching over to Jenny now to explain a bit more about the 5 ways.
Thanks, Kirsty. Yeah, so at Derbyshire Mind, we recognise the importance of taking small steps each day to boost our mood and protect our mental well-being. Now, about 12 or 15 years ago, the New Economics Foundation developed the 5 ways to wellbeing, after a big kind of study that they did, collecting together lots of other studies that looked into what makes us happier. They identified 5 simple actions that we can all take to make our lives more fulfilling. And those 5 actions, as you may well know, are to connect, to be active, to take notice, to keep learning, and to give. And just in the same way that we know it's good for our physical health to eat 5 portions of fruit and veg a day, we use these 5 ways of well-being because they are believed to be small ways that we can all incorporate into our everyday lives to boost our overall mental health, our happiness, and our well-being. So for this well-being, we'll be looking at each of these 5 ways to well-being in turn, and we'll give examples of the small ways that you can incorporate them into your day-to-day. But we will also look at how we can connect with and give back to nature and wildlife at the same time. The benefits of being in nature have long been evidenced, but never has it felt more real to us all than in this past year, when all of us in some way have turned to the support of the natural world around us. So maybe we've gone for local walks, maybe we've gone further afield, maybe we've turned to gardening, or many different things really, all to benefit our well-being this past year. Derbyshire Wildlife Trust have some fantastic ideas to help you continue that nature connectedness journey, and we're pleased to be sharing them with you today. Cool. So the first of the 5 ways to well-being is connection. There's strong evidence that indicates that feeling close to and valued by other people is a fundamental human need. Connecting with people can look like many different things. It can be getting to know your colleagues on a more personal level. It can look like sticking colourful pictures in your windows to communicate with our neighbours as they pass by. It can look like meeting up with someone in person rather than phoning them or sending an email. And it can also be things like joining community groups in order to sort of meet new people. How do you currently ensure connecting meaningfully with other people is present in your everyday life? I know it's been very difficult in this past year with the coronavirus restrictions. It's clear that relationships are critical for our mental well-being and for acting as a buffer against mental ill health for all ages. But have you considered how maybe connecting with nature in different ways can also give us a sense of well-being too?
So as Jenny says, connecting with people is really, really important, but it's also great if you can connect with the nature around you as well. So a lot of people over lockdown have been watching the birds more and putting out bird feeders, and we're hearing lots of stories about how people are kind of making friends with the birds, and you see the same ones come to visit and you get to know them. They all kind of have their own personalities, and it's really lovely. So this picture here is of a little blackbird fledgling, and this bird is from a blackbird family that have been visiting our garden for the last few months now. So we got to watch the parents come and like get all the nesting materials, and then a couple of weeks ago these fledglings appeared, and we see them hopping around the garden as a little family, and it's really nice because like we feel kind of part of that now because we've seen that process, and I'm willing to bet a lot of you have had similar experiences. It doesn't have to necessarily be creatures that you are building that connection with either. It could be flowers and plants and trees that you get to recognise. So it's really beneficial if while you're walking around, if you can look at a plant and you know its name, it's kind of building that connection just as you would with a person. When you get to know a person's name, you're building that relationship. The same is true with anything in nature. And as you build those connections around you, it feels kind of like nature's there to support you. So it's building your support network in a different way from a different angle. And the more nature connections you can make like that, the more your well-being will benefit. Now, nature's also a great springboard to start conversations with other people and to make memories with special people in your lives. So right now, I'm going to invite you to take a quiet moment to think back to a favourite spot of yours that you have visited in nature. So try to recall as many details as you can, whether it's what it looked like, what the landscape was like, how did it smell, What were the sensations? Was it breezy? What was the weather like? And how did it make you feel? So as an example, this picture of bluebells is in one of my favourite bluebell woodlands. And I was there a couple of weeks ago, and me and my partner just spent a few minutes looking up at the trees. The sun came out to highlight those bluebells just at the perfect moment. And my word was magical. So it was just one of those amazing, perfect moments. So what is your word? And we're inviting you to share that one word into the chat box. So I'm going to give us a little bird song, hopefully, as a little, just to get you in the mood while we share those words.
So we've had words such as free, relaxing, calm, present, peaceful, peaceful twice, calming, peaceful again, elated, hopeful, which is a nice word, uplifting. Lots of lovely words. Amazing, revitalized, wonder, content. And then they're still coming. That's what's just wonderful. So we've got soothing and blessed. Really lovely words.
Amazing. I will make myself a note as well to save the chat at the end, because I'd love to gather these words up. Fantastic. Thank you everyone for sharing. And now you've got that memory in your mind again. Once this webinar's over, or over the next few days, maybe you'd like to share that memory with somebody. And even better, if it's a place you can go for a visit either this weekend or in the next few weeks, then how about taking someone special to you to your favourite place and connecting together there?
Absolutely. So our second way that we're talking about today is taking notice. And this is a really nice one because it encourages us all to slow down in life, to pause, to look around ourselves, and to savour the beauty that is in our everyday. We all know that taking some dedicated time each day to slow down and be present in the moment, and also be grateful for the environment around you, whatever it may be, can really benefit your mental well-being. Maybe you've heard about mindfulness. Studies have shown that being aware of what is taking place in the present moment directly enhances your well-being, and it can also help reaffirm your life's priorities. It can also just help calm you and protect against stress and burnout. One technique that we like to try out here at Derbyshire Mind is the 5 senses technique. It just asks that we stop wherever we are and use our senses to ground us. So it asks us to acknowledge 5 things that we can see around ourselves, 4 things that we can touch, 3 things that we can hear, 2 things that we can smell, and 1 thing possibly that we can taste. Now you can do this anywhere. If you're feeling stressed at work, it's a really great way of sort of stopping, pausing and grounding yourself. Maybe if you're out and about and you're starting to feel overwhelmed, it's a really great technique to use there. But also it's a really nice practice to try weaving into your daily sort of well-being practice each day. So maybe when you wake up and maybe open the curtains and look outside to the garden, you can try that technique out there just to kind of help you start your day off on a calm way. But of course, if you're out and about in nature, if you're on a walk, or if you're kind of visiting a woods or another beautiful location, trying it out there is particularly fab because it is such a rich environment.
Yes, so although getting out and about into nature is of course the best if you possibly can, because you get all of those wonderful benefits. If you can't, and you're either stuck at your desk at work or you just can't leave the house for any reason, then there is some amazing nature videos on YouTube now. So even if it's just a case of using your listening and hearing senses, listening and seeing then that's fantastic start. So we've got a video that we filmed at our Woodside Reserve that I'm going to share with you now. So it's only just under 2 minutes, so I invite you just to take a couple of deep breaths, just be still and enjoy some mindful moments. Okay. So, I feel quite relaxed myself after that. Okay, so using the chat box again, honestly, how did you find that experience of just sitting and being? Again, if you can narrow it down to one word, that'd be great. And any feeling is totally valid. So it might be positive. So words we had earlier were calming, feeling a sense of relief. So just being able to have that moment to yourself can feel just like shedding the world's worries and just relief. But equally, some people find it quite hard to just be still, especially watching something on screen, to not pick up a phone or check your emails or glance around to see what's going on. It can feel for some people a little bit frustrating, and that is totally okay.
That's some great words coming in. So we have things like calming, happy, smiling, rested, switch off, spacious, sleepy, quiet, relaxing, from Jill, and we've had pause and relaxed and alive.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's a nice one to end on. Like, we're feeling all relaxed, but yes, we are alive, we are vital, we are here. Fabulous, thank you. And I'd love it if you could all share one thing that stood out for you the most and one thing you enjoyed the most in that video, just out of curiosity.
Laura's jumped in there with bird song. Trees against the blue sky.
My personal favourite, that one.
Mm-hmm. Looking up through the trees and bird song. The trees reaching up to the sun. The tall trees swaying in the breeze at the end. The sounds stood out. I love the trees too. The trees at the end were amazing. The sound of running water. Seeing the map made me want to explore. And birch tops like smoke, sound of stream, and the different bird calls.
Fabulous. I love the idea of the map making you want to explore. Fantastic. Yes, and then with the bird song as well, I've actually started recently just putting bird song in the background when I'm working, and it's really lovely. I'm a total convert. I'd recommend having a go. So that's brilliant. You all sound like you are already very good at just being still and soaking it all in, which is fabulous. If you do feel like you could do with a helping hand and finding other ways to be a bit mindful and take notice, maybe you're more of an active person and you want to be doing something at the same time, we've got a growing range of resources on our Wilder Wellbeing webpage. So the link's there, but again, the link will be coming out to you after this. So don't worry too much if you can't grab that just now. But yes, it's well worth checking out. Fabulous. Okay, now we're all nice and calm. We're ready to move on to our next 5 ways to wellbeing.
Brilliant. So the next of the 5 ways is be active. You know, we all know that regular physical activity is associated with increased physical well-being, but did you know that it also helps to lower depression and anxiety across all age groups? It is also essential for slowing age-related cognitive decline as well, and for promoting overall well-being. But it doesn't need to be hugely intense for you to feel good. Slower paced activities such as walking and stretching can have the same benefit as more physical activity. It can also help to encourage social interactions as well, which is lovely. The key, I always think, is finding something that you really enjoy doing, because not only will it make you feel better, but it will also increase your chances of sticking with it. And I wonder whether there's an activity that maybe you loved as a child or a teenager that maybe you haven't done for a while, and maybe you could go back to that and find the fun there. Maybe there's something new that you'd like to try. Some other ideas that you might want to kind of incorporate into your day-to-day are things like going for a walk at lunchtime, or even just sort of doing a few laps of the garden if you can't sort of go further than that. If you are in an office, maybe you'd like to get your colleagues involved and start a little bit of a walking group. There's an app that I'd like to recommend to you as well, which is called Go Jauntly, which is developed by the University of Derby, and it has local walking routes as well. So maybe you can use that to find some routes, or even add routes of your own. This also has another little really great aspect to that app as well, where you can log 3 good things in nature. So maybe when you're out on your walk, if you can spot 3 things or 3 words about your walk or the things you've seen, you can jot those in the app as well, which is really nice. Maybe you can cycle to work and maybe choose a more scenic route than normal. Maybe you enjoy team sports and might want to set up a football game or a kick around in the park with your friends or your kids. But also there are things online as well. So, I mean, at Derbyshire Mind, we offer a movement and mindfulness course, which is online and just gives us that lovely sort of stretching as well as the relaxation involved as well. So lots we can do, but Kirsty's going to talk to us about how we can support nature and wellbeing and wildlife at the same time.
Yes, so if you are looking for somewhere different to go for a bit of a wander, then there is quite likely to be a Wildlife Trust nature reserve close to where you live. So I know we've got possibly a few people on the call outside of Derbyshire today. So I've got the nationalwildlifetrust.org website link up there. And that will tell you everything that's in Derbyshire, but also where is available with your own local wildlife trust as well. So as well as maybe the more obvious going to a nature reserve for a walk, there's other things you can do as well. So I think during lockdown, sometimes people are getting a bit fed up, like doing the same walk every day, and like it's nice now that it's opening up a bit and we can go a bit further afield. But actually, if we put a wild spin on our regular walk, it can like show it in a whole new perspective. So a great way to do this is watching the seasonal changes. Now, during lockdown, I joined everyone else and I had my regular hours walk locally, door to door, around my local park. And I really learnt to do a lot of nature ID and watching the seasonal changes. And last year, for the first year, I noticed oak tree catkins, and I do not know how I missed them before, because to me it looked like the oak tree was covered in golden chandeliers. So I obviously need to take more time to be mindful and take notice myself, which I am now doing. So I have regular trees now that I go and visit. So I've got that sense of connection with them that we spoke about earlier. And I really take notice of how they're looking right now. So this picture here, I'm pretty sure it's an ash tree. Now I don't, even though I work for the Wildlife Trust, I don't pretend to be a nature ID expert. So I come in at it from the wellbeing perspective and I'm learning myself. I'm pretty sure it's an ash tree, but again, I'd never noticed ash tree flowers before. So that's got me questioning myself, but they're gorgeous and they look like they're about to come out, and the picture hasn't quite picked up the amazing colour, but they were like really pinky purple and fantastic. So that's like literally 5 minutes from my doorstep. So getting to pick a regular route and seeing it through that new focus, the new perspective, can turn it totally different and a little bit magical. Also, if you've got regular activities you already like to do to keep active, maybe it's possible to add a bit of a wild twist to them. So we've got an example here of a few yoga moves. So if you do a little bit of yoga, you might be familiar with them. But we have taken some of their names and changed them to make them a bit more wild. So as we've calmed down in our last couple of minutes of taking notice, I'm going to encourage you to do a little bit of movement with me now. And I'm just going to move back a little bit. So we're doing this while we're seated, but if you've got space and you can stand up and move your legs according to the pictures at the same time if you want to. But I'm going to encourage us to first of all just take a deep breath and scrunch up those shoulders. In. And then as we relax the shoulders, we're going to let all that breath out. And then first of all, we're going to breathe in, lift our arms into the butterfly. Cross your arms over. Breathe out into the starfish. And then we're going to bring our hands together in the heron as we breathe in. And out as we relax. And then back to the butterfly. Once more. And hopefully, if you've joined in with that, it just goes to show, just having that moment, it really helps to relax your shoulders, release your neck, help you become a bit more conscious of your posture. So if you're looking at a computer screen right now, you might be starting to hunch over, but that's really just helped me to loosen and sit up a little bit straighter. Get the blood flowing, wake us up again a little bit. So at the halfway through point now, so a little wake-up call. Okay, on to our next point.
That's fantastic. I hope everyone joined in and it wasn't just Kirsty and I. So for number 4, it's keep learning, which is a really nice one, I always think. It's trying new things, it's new activities, new hobbies, and finding new interests. And it can be so rewarding in so many different ways. Did you know that continued learning through life enhances our self-esteem, and it also encourages social interaction and a more active life too? The practice of setting goals has also been strongly associated with higher levels of well-being. Maybe you could rediscover an old interest, or perhaps sign up for a course that you've always been meaning to do. Maybe you could learn a new skill or learn to play an instrument, or maybe something like how to cook a new meal or a new type of food. Try and think about setting a challenge or a goal that you would enjoy achieving. Because as well as being fun, getting into the habit of learning new things makes you feel more confident and more inclined to step out of your comfort zone. What could you be interested in learning about? Could you maybe sign up for an evening class? Could you read a new book, or perhaps set up a book club with your friends and colleagues? We're all well versed in Zoom now. You could do it online or meet up in person. Maybe you could research something you've always wondered about. Could you challenge yourself to learn a new word each day? or perhaps take on a new area of responsibility at work. Maybe you'd like to learn how to build things out of wood, or maybe you're interested in learning more about nature.
Fabulous, yes. And if you are interested in learning more about nature, starting off with a little bit of wildlife ID is a fantastic place to start. So it can seem quite daunting to start with because there's so much out there to learn. And I think it's important to recognise that as adults, it's fine that we are still learning. Like nobody knows everything. And I personally find it really exciting that there's still so much to discover. So as I mentioned before, I am no wildlife ID expert, but what I am good at, though I say so myself, is supporting people to learn and looking at those tools together so we can gather that knowledge together. So we have a few links here to various ID guides, which is a great place to start. And my personal favourite is the wildlifewatch.org.uk website. So that is the Wildlife Trust website that's aimed to be accessible for children. But I personally love using it for any age group. It's my go-to place to start off with, because it's so accessible and it really breaks everything down into bite-sized pieces. So for example, this Finch Detective kind of poster that we've got here, that's from Wildlife Watch. So if there's something you're particularly interested in, there's loads on there, from birds to flowers, doing kind of scavenger hunts for different seasons. You can print them out and stick them up, and then just looking at those all the time, you'll actually be really surprised how quickly you start remembering things. And then when you're out and about, you'll be naming things and you'll be like, wow, didn't even know I knew all this. And you're building those relationships again, and just keep adding to it all the time in little bite-sized pieces. Nature's also a fantastic springboard to help you follow your own curiosity. So if you've ever watched a child out in nature where they're going around picking up sticks and stones and getting really, really excited about everything, following your curiosity is a great way to get that sense of wonder back yourselves. So there might be activities you're already interested in, and then again, it's about putting that wild spin on it. So as Jenny mentioned, maybe you enjoy cooking and you want to try some new recipes and some new foods. Well, by following a nature twist with that, maybe you want to look at foraging or eating more seasonably, or even starting to grow some of your own fruit and veg so you can enjoy it straight from your garden. If you're already an artist, maybe you want to have a think about using more eco-friendly materials, or even natural materials like getting into willow weaving or making natural inks, or learning how to make your own charcoal even in the woods in the fire. If you're musically inclined, maybe it's recording the nature sounds, maybe inspiring your own folk songs, things like that. If you enjoy writing, maybe you were really enjoyed creative writing at school and you've not really done any ever since, but how about trying to like pen a bit of a poem about your favourite nature spot, or just write a description about where you are and start a little nature journal. And then as you start getting out and about in nature, it can also encourage you to learn new skills so that you can explore even further. So we've got a picture there of a boot and a compass. So maybe it's a case that you need to learn some navigation skills with a map and compass to go and explore the Derbyshire moorlands, or maybe you want to learn about doing things like bushcraft and survival and wild camping. So it can start, the activities can start as gently and as small step as you want to, right up to those big adventures. But the important thing is to follow your own interests and your own curiosity. And then we're on to our final point.
I'd really like to learn how to read Ordnance Survey maps better, because every single time I go for a walk somewhere further afield, I always end up getting myself very, very lost. So I think there's a knack to it. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So the last of the 5 ways that we're talking about today is giving. Participation in social and community life has attracted a lot of attention in the field of wellbeing research over the last few years. We now know that individuals who report a greater interest in helping others are more likely to also rate themselves as happy. And studies have shown that committing an act of kindness once a week over a 6-week period is associated with an increase in overall well-being. So giving back can mean a big thing, potentially like volunteering your time on a regular basis to a cause that you're passionate about. It could be taking on a fundraising challenge to raise money for a charity in need, or joining a community group. It could also mean things like trying to give blood on a regular basis. But it can also be smaller scale things like just helping your neighbours with shopping perhaps, or remembering to send cards or little notes to family and friends who perhaps live further away, which is also something I'm terrible at remembering at doing. But I know when I do it, my family and friends really are grateful of that and love that I've thought of them. It could also be something really, really simple as remembering to smile at strangers when we pass them in the street, or holding doors open for other people, or having a chat with a cashier at a supermarket or something like that. Giving back and helping others is a very rewarding experience that benefits our mental well-being and gives us a strong feeling of purpose and of being of value to our community. Have you considered how you might be able to help and support your local wildlife community as well?
Yes, so if that's something you're keen to do, then we've got a few suggestions here of how you can start giving back to nature right from your own home. And again, it's having those different steps. So you needn't launch straight into thinking about, well, how am I going to find time to volunteer and do all these bigger tasks? It can just start as simple as maybe when you're out walking, you see a bit of litter, you pick it up and put it in the nearest bin. That's great, you've started giving back already. And then as you maybe get a bit more free time, or you follow your interests again, maybe you build it up into bigger steps, which is wonderful. So we've got things here like feeding the birds, and also within that, finding out the right things to feed your birds. So I've noticed down the road, we have a neighbour that puts bread out in the garden, and bread is not great for the birds. It's kind of like us eating junk food. So just finding out the right kind of food to put out is great. Creating a wildlife pond. If you do have a little bit of space in your garden to add a little bit of water, then that is such an amazing thing to do. Even if it's kind of like an old washing up bucket or something, just having that little bit of water, you'll be like really surprised what it attracts actually. Perhaps if you've got a bit more time and it's of interest, you might want to grow some of your own food. And we also often have campaigns that you can join in with. So you might have already heard about Plant Life's No Mow May, and Derbyshire Wildlife Trust are adopting it this year, and we're having #GrowDon'tMow. So that's happening right now, and you can still join in using those links that are there that we'll send out to you after this. And all it is not mowing your lawn for the month of May. You can leave it longer as well if you want to, but it's all about seeing what wildflowers appear, and letting those wildflowers help our pollinators. So you're giving back, and also you get the excuse that you don't have to get the lawnmower out. So what's not to love about that? If you do have time and you want to come and get involved and volunteer, either at Derbyshire Wildlife Trust or wherever your local wildlife trust is, then that is fabulous, and we have lots of information on our websites here. At the moment, volunteering opportunities are still limited due to COVID restrictions, but you can at least be seeing what's normally there and thinking about how you can get involved over the coming months. So now that we've gone through all that, we've got one more poll for you now. So hopefully you felt a little bit inspired by what we've talked about today. And we're wondering if you had to pick one of those 5 ways to wellbeing that you'd like to focus a bit more on for yourself personally, which one would you pick for taking action on right now? I'm going to give us a little bit of birdsong again.
We've got about half have voted so far.
Excellent.
Still coming in. Any more for any more? Anyone else want to put their vote in? Okay, it looks like it's stopped now, so I'll end the poll and share the results. Hopefully you can see that.
Yes, excellent. 48% looking to take notice and be more mindful. Fabulous. And then coming in second, we've got learning new things, which is an excellent aim to have.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share now, as that is the end of our presentation. We are going to have questions and answers in a moment, but first of all, a little bit of monitoring, if you don't mind helping us out. And I'm going to have a go at launching a poll. There we go. So if you could just let us know, whereabouts do you live? So if you're in Derby City, and you'll know that if you're with Derby City Council, if you're in the wider county, or if you're outside Derbyshire.
Okay, looks like they're still coming in, just a few more. Fab, I'll end that now and share that. There we go.
So that's nice. We've got lots of visitors with us today.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant.
Fabulous, thank you. Okay, so we're on to our questions and answers now. So if you do have any questions for us, please pop them in the chat box now and we'll see what answers we can come up with.
Yeah, feel free to use the chat box in the bottom there and add your questions for either Kirsty or I.
Or general comments, maybe you want
Absolutely.
to share, because equally, I guess everyone can see the chat as well. So if there's anything you want to share with each other, like letting people know where your favourite places that we were talking about before. Mm-hmm. Oh, which is your favourite season? That's a great question. I will take that one. I have a feeling that I always change my mind, but at the moment, I am just loving, like, I posted on our Wilder Wellbeing Facebook group earlier. If you're not in there, you should be, and we'll tell you how to join. But the bluebells at the moment, like how that gentle smell, just like it has to like waft into your nose, doesn't it? You can't sniff it. The amazing bluebell wood that I shared a picture of earlier, that is actually, it looks bigger on the photo, but it's a tiny little area. It's in Riddings Wood, which is not super far from Alfreton. Sorry, not Riddings Wood, in Riddings Park, in a tiny little, there's like a path and it's just surrounded by trees and there's just this tiny patch of bluebells, but it really smelt lovely. Although, if you're talking about the one in the presentation, sorry, that is actually near the Cromford Canal, a gorgeous spot there, near the Ambergate end. Yes, and then just as the sun, like I'm obsessed with tree dapple. Sorry, I could go on about this all day because I just love nature. But the sun coming through the trees at this time of year and everything's looking so vibrant and magical is just lovely. But then equally in summer, it's like the meadows come out and then I'm like, summer's so amazing. And then like the bark in winter and I'm like, winter's so gorgeous. And so ask me again in summer and I'll change my mind.
You can't decide, hey? No, it is really hard to decide, isn't it? I think for me, it's always the next season. I think we always just kind of look forward to the next season, and you know, when it's in winter, we look forward to the spring and new life coming again, and then in summer we look forward to kind of slowing down of autumn. So yeah, it's hard to choose, isn't it? Katrina has asked that she's heard that trees give off things to improve mental health, and is this true? And it's a really interesting question. I mean, we now know that by walking through rich environments such as woods, we can pick up the kind of good bacteria that really benefits our gut health as well. So again, just by going for walks can really support your physical well-being as well. But also just there's a lot of research currently now around how sort of depleted the oxygen levels or something in houses are, and actually by getting out into the fresh air and going for walks in woods can really, really benefit our mental health and give us that boost we need. So, but also don't forget about vitamin D as well, and going for walks in the middle of the day and trying to kind of keep your head uncovered just for a little bit to get some of the vitamin D will really support your mental health as well.
I was reading the other day as well about how trees and plants give off chemicals. So the chemicals they use to fight germs and bacteria and things also help to boost our immune systems when we when we breathe it in. So that's really lovely, giving back to us all the time.
That's amazing. Laura has asked you, Kirsty, can you pop wildflower seeds in a park or on the countryside?
Now, I would say with that, get like landowners' permission. So I'd really recommend, if you have an area, say if you've got a community garden nearby, or maybe even allotments where they might be willing for you to go and spread some seeds around the side, then that is amazing. But yes, do please ask permission first.
Mm-hmm. Jean has commented that she's discovered meditation last year and has found it so helpful and interesting. Insight Timer is a free website with thousands of meditation talks and music, and she recommends. Absolutely, yeah. There's lots of meditation apps that you can use, and lots of apps also now offer soundscapes as well. So if you like the sound of rain or nature sounds, you can use that to support your meditation practice as well. But don't forget about kind of just being able to spend some time in your garden, and maybe going to sit in your garden, even if it's raining, and doing a bit of a kind of a sound meditation using the sounds of the rain or the sounds of the birds. And so yeah, absolutely, lots of free resources we can use. Stephen has commented that he really enjoys his local graveyard because it has squirrels and owls and a woodpecker. It's a very calm place and links with community and local heritage.
Yes, that sounds amazing to have all that wildlife there as well.
Mm.
Fabulous.
Absolutely. Jackie's commented that taking notice is such a good tip. She's been more mindful recently walking around her local area and has seen a woodpecker 5 minutes from her house for the first time last week. And she's lived there 24 years. She says she was amazed because she lives in a town, and she definitely recommends just taking mindful walks and really observing everything around you, because it's magical what you can find, which it really is.
On that note as well, like I love trying it if I'm out walking with other people, because it's sort of, you feel like it's a socially acceptable thing. You have to keep talking, don't you? And you don't necessarily tend to walk quietly. But just saying like, right, say for the next 5 minutes, we're just going to walk together silently, and giving each other permission, or whoever you're with, just to be quiet, and then sharing how like your experience afterwards as well. That's like a really nice thing to do together.
That's a great idea. I mean, on that note, Derbyshire Mind are starting some little walks kind of around our local area in Derby and Derbyshire called Mind Space. And the idea is not necessarily to get the kind of physical activity, but it is more around spending some time together, connecting in the natural environment, being mindful of what's around us, and talking about what we can see and hear and smell and stuff. So if anyone's interested in that, we're going to start that as a fortnightly on Friday morning. So feel free to get in touch about that.
See, we've got a lot of mindfulness stuff coming through now, which is fabulous. Some mindful cloud watching.
That's lovely. That's a lovely one to do, and a really lovely sort of free meditation practice as well.
And just awesome. Lying on the grass as well, even if it's like a cloudy day, or looking up into the canopy and just feeling the grass under your hands and sort of feeling the earth hold you, that's quite special just in itself.
How about walking barefoot in your garden? So many of us now, you know, sort of naturally we just put on shoes to go into the garden, but I make sure I definitely make a point of not and using that as you know, a way to ground myself and feel the different textures of the grass and the concrete on those bits and the wood chippings and things like that. So that's a lovely thing for you to try if you'd like to try that in your garden. Jill's put here now as well that she is an art historian, or he, and can't visit museums or galleries last year, so missed using visual skills, but then discovered that they could use similar skills to slow down and look more carefully at trees and birds. They realised that they weren't as good at taking time in nature as they are inside galleries, and it was really beneficial to behave outdoors the way they often do inside. Really good point.
And that might be a great tip. Like, that's transferable, isn't it? Say, like, if you do want to learn more about nature ID, for example, and you've learned something else, like maybe you've learned a foreign language, like what techniques did you learn to use that other thing that you can use to learn about nature as well? So, the barefoot things just reminded me as well. It's taken me a moment, but I've just made the connection with like going out barefoot, and we've had a few comments about listening to the rain. Don't be afraid as well to go out in different weathers. Like last year, for the first time ever, I actually put my bare feet into mud, and it's something I've kind of always wanted to do but never done it because it's a bit messy and like, how do you clear that up? But the garden was a bit muddy and I was like, right, I'm going to do it, and like it felt amazing. I would recommend it.
There's have you ever been to Conkers? Conkers has a barefoot walk where you literally walk through gloopy mud and shallow kind of water and stones and all kinds of things, and at the end there's like a little thing to wash your feet. But it's a really interesting experience, and I think it's really good for the kids as well, to teach kids that it's okay to get messy and mucky and kind of get mud and things like that on your skin, and it's not a scary thing. It's something that we should enjoy and kind of enjoy the feeling of. So definitely recommend your kids get involved as well.
Yeah, there's an idea for like one of our nature reserves, bit of a barefoot walk.
Definitely, very good idea.
Yes, waterproof trousers. Sorry, Jenny.
Sorry, yeah, I was going to say, Susan said that she wears waterproof trousers and walks in all weather. It's a really good idea. We brought our kids some for the first time this year, and it's made them feel more comfortable about going out in all weathers, which is really great, because as long as we feel comfortable, we can explore all year round. So
definitely.
Oh, Amanda's put there's a barefoot walk at Trentham Gardens as well, so that's great to know. A bit further north. Amazing. Yeah. Really great comments. There's so many things for us to try.
Yes, and that thing about waterproof over trousers, yeah, it's so important, isn't it? Just having the right gear. I mean, everyone knows that saying now, don't they, about no such thing as bad weather, only the wrong clothing. But I've noticed kind of during lockdown, as more people have started going out walking and getting outside, maybe they're not used to it, and you sort of see them, maybe they're like not in the best footwear, or they're like, is there anything worse than wet denim? Like, you're stuck in denim jeans when you're out in the rain, like that's enough to put anybody off going outside ever again. So yeah, just really important making sure you're dressed for the weather. Yeah, everything does look greener in the rain, and the smell as well is amazing, isn't it? Just fresh rain smell.
Has anyone discovered any new walks locally to them during lockdown, or tried anything new out in nature during lockdown? Anyone turned to gardening or all kinds of things? What other things have we all tried? Yeah, maybe starting a little kind of herb garden, things like that. Really nice little easy ways we can do inside our house. One thing I notice personally is how many sort of walks I can do just from my front door. I think before lockdown, I always thought that I had to kind of get in a car and go somewhere special to go for a walk, whereas actually, no, there's lots of things to see and visit just stepping out of your front door. So that's been nice.
I've been exactly the same, and looking at, I don't know if everybody knows about the OS map website. I don't know what the URL is off the top of my head, but if you just Google OS Maps, it's a paid for app, but then you can actually look up OS Maps at all the different levels and print as many out as you want as well. So I've been like getting all the maps of my local area and learning all the footpaths, and yeah, it's like some really lovely spots.
Absolutely. Donna said that she has started to grow some veg this year, which is fab.
Excellent.
And so far cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuces, and potatoes and herbs. So that's a good lot there. Brilliant.
Yeah, gonna get a lovely tasty summer salad out of that lot.
And Diane's put that Cork Abbey also has lots of things to do, like the barefoot walk. Is that in the new Explore area, Diane? I've not visited that area yet, so I keep meaning to with my kids, but lockdown and everything kind of stopped that. Oh, yeah, it is. So perfect. I have to go and visit that then for sure. I love the lambs at Cork Abbey. We always try and go at that time of year when there's all the lambs being born. Carol's put that Chaddeston Wood was a treasure that she had never visited before lockdown, and it was just a few miles from her. I've heard lots about Chaddeston Wood. It's got lots of bluebells, isn't it, in that kind of area?
I did not know this. I'm going to make a note of that to go on a visit.
Jackie's put there's lots of wild garlic around at the moment. Good for making garlic butter or pesto. Very good. I'm always too scared. To find wild garlic. Like, is it actually wild garlic, or have I just picked some random plant?
Yeah, you do have to be quite careful because I think it's lily of the valley, which is poisonous, and it can look quite similar. But wild garlic, it smells like garlic. So if it smells and tastes like garlic, then you found wild garlic.
Okay.
But yeah, just make sure you are sure.
Is there sort of plant identification things on the websites that you recommended, Kirsty, as well, for those kinds of things, for more like edible things that we can find in nature, like foraging things?
The Wildlife Trust ones are mainly more wildlife based. So I think the National Trust has a little bit about foraging, and there is a website that does a newsletter. I think it's called Eat the Weeds. They're really good. Like there's so like during lockdown, that's one thing I've got quite into, doing a bit more foraging. So like making nettle soup and collecting jack by the hedge, and discovered lime leaves and very young beech leaves last year, and made some forage salads, which was really yummy. So
that's great. My children went to forest school over the Easter holidays, and they made dandelion scones. So nice.
Got some dandelion wine on the go this year for the first time, so I'll have to report back how that turns out.
Definitely. Laura's put that she has to go now, but she's a teacher and has got lots of ideas to share with her class as well as for herself on her dog walk, so that's lovely.
Oh, fabulous. Well, Laura, as well, if you are in Derbyshire and local to Woodside, which is our reserve near Ilkeston, we are open for school groups to come and visit there and do sessions. So if that's something you might be interested in, do get in touch.
Awesome. Paul's put that he's discovered that there are some 18th century blast furnaces still standing near Belper, and an old World War I firing range on Wyver Lane on walks that he never knew were there before lockdown. So amazing.
Wow.
Very good.
And things like this, like that would be amazing to share on Go Jauntly, wouldn't it? Put in a little history walk on there.
Absolutely.
I didn't mention before about that as well, but we are looking at the Wildlife Trust to use that and create some walks around our reserves. So just to inspire people about what they might see and where they can go.
That'd be lovely. Wonderful.
Fabulous. Okay. Got a couple that have gone into the Q&A rather than the chat. When will volunteering start up again? That very much depends on kind of the department you're looking to volunteer with. So I think for new volunteers, it'll, like if you just keep checking the website, it'll say when applications open again. And if you're already involved in volunteering, that particular team will be in touch with you as soon as things start up again. And we've got a comment that Kate and her daughter have been using wildlife ID apps to have fun on your walks. Yeah, there's so many great apps out there now as well, isn't there? Which is fabulous. It's well worth looking into them all. Oh, we had a question, so sorry if this has been missed and you've not been able to stay, but I'll try and answer. Where will the recording be able to be found? So we'll send a link out, and what I'll aim to do is put it on the Derbyshire Wildlife Trust YouTube channel. So all our past webinars seem to appear on there, so I will do that and then send the link out to everybody.
Brilliant. There's lots of comments now, people saying that they are having to head off now, but thanks for tonight's webinar. So lots to think about. Yeah, so you're very welcome. I hope you enjoyed the talk, and yeah, I hope you continue your nature connection journey after this webinar.
Definitely. I've just spotted from Diane that you've got lots of ideas for your cubs as well. If your cubs want to come and get involved at a reserve, and we have a green mentor scheme that they might be eligible for, do get in touch. Oh, Headlands Infant School, Secure Woodland. Oh, that sounds exciting. Yes, yes, please, I will get in touch. Thank you, Amanda.
Oh, brilliant. I'm glad everyone's found it really useful and interesting. Lots to keep you busy.
Definitely. Fabulous. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming along, and thank you so much for getting involved with the chat as well. I know it's not the easiest through webinars, so really, really appreciate that. It's great to kind of get that feedback. So look out for a follow-up email where we will send all the links out, and within that as well, we'll also have news about some upcoming courses. So if you've enjoyed a little taster into the 5 ways to wellbeing today, we'll be running a whole program over several weeks where we can do a bit more of a deep dive into each of the 5 ways to wild wellbeing, and that will be with Derbyshire Mind. So we'll send you all the information for that as well. And if you do keep a lookout on the Wilder Wellbeing webpage, all the information will be on there. So if you're going to remember one thing, that's the place to go. Absolutely.
Oh.
Fabulous.
Well,
all right.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us and for taking your time out of your evening this evening. And yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kirsty.
Thank you. Okay. Hopefully we'll see you all again very soon.
Take care, everybody.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.